If you think a 1099 driving job is the way to go, think again. The term these days, the popular term is the gig economy. And when it comes to the trucking industry, the gig economy refers to 1099 drivers and contractors and sometimes dispatch services, but we're not talking about dispatch services here. We're talking about truck drivers. One of the things that I like absolutely the best about GP Transco, and something that was always important to me, was they treat their drivers like people. They know their drivers are people. They don't treat them like robots. Why would you work anyplace else when you can make $80,000 to $95,000 a year, your first year at GP Transco, be a W-2 driver, be protected? I think GP Transco is the way to go. Check them out at gptransco.com. Now, the first reason drivers, particularly new drivers, might be looking at this 1099 route is because on the surface it looks like they're going to make more money. And carriers that want 1099 drivers usually offer a few cents more per mile, and new drivers think, that's what I want. I want to make as much money as possible. But the truth of the matter is, that's not really all your money, because everyone pays taxes. Uncle Sam demands you pay taxes, so that total paycheck as a 1099 driver does not belong to you. And sure, you might be able to avoid the tax man for a little while, but sooner or later, Uncle Sam and the IRS is going to catch up to you, and they're going to take your tax. And the longer it takes them to catch, the more you're going to pay. Some carriers like to hire 1099 drivers because sometimes it can save them hundreds of thousands of dollars because they're not having to pay into unemployment insurance and workman's comp. And generally, the carriers hiring 1099 drivers aren't particularly too choosy who they're hiring either. So it's a good thing for them. But sooner or later, the IRS will come along and they will find the carrier and they will find the driver as well. The second thing that often attracts drivers to go in the 1099 route is their ego. Pure and simple. They want to have their own business. They want to be a big businessman. They want to be an entrepreneur. But even if drivers do what they think is the correct thing, they start an LLC and hire an accountant, that doesn't necessarily mean you're a legitimate business. Now, carriers can tell you that you're an independent and that you're a legitimate business, but it's not up to the carrier to decide that. Only the IRS decides whether or not you are truly a legitimate business. It's not decided by carriers like Prime or CR England. Only the IRS determines whether or not you have a legitimate business. Finally, and part of the reason for this video is that a lot of drivers just don't know anything about what a 1099 driving job involves. And that's why we want to keep you informed on this stuff. All sorts of guys get into being a 1099 driver because they simply don't know any better. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter, because ignorance is no excuse. The laws are still the same, whether you knew it or not, and you'll serve the same penalties and get the same fines. And often, because tax evasion is a criminal offense, you'll end up with a record and maybe even a jail term. So let's be clear here. With this gig economy on the rise, the IRS is on the hunt. The state of California alone figures they lose $60 billion in lost tax revenue a year to the gig economy, to the 1099 drivers and the misclassified independents. So that's a ton of money. So figure 50 states times billions of dollars every year. You can bet Uncle Sam and the IRS are on the hunt. And they don't lose. They never lose a court case. Think of the money they're losing, and they're sick of losing it, and that's why this big push is on for AB 5. Other states are following California. These states and the country are tired of losing tax dollars they feel they're owed. And that's why they're tracking down these 1099 drivers and these misclassified contractors. It just kind of blows me away that drivers would voluntarily give up certain rights like unemployment insurance and health benefits, workman's comp, and other things offered by good carriers like a 401k plan. Why would drivers voluntarily give up benefits like that? It makes no sense to do it. So if you think being a 1099 driver is the way to go, driver, you better think that through again. Don't do it. Stay safe, keep the rubber side down, and we'll see you on the back haul.